A Missouri inmate has been put to death for a 2003 murder, and it is believed to be the first execution of a transgender woman in the United States. Amber McLaughlin started transitioning 3 years ago. She was convicted in 2006 of stalking and killing a former girlfriend, and a last-minute clemency request was denied by Missouri's governor. That state's next execution is scheduled for a few weeks from now on February 7th.
Rowdy Nation TV, welcome back to the channel. Do me a favor, guys. Click that like button, subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so anytime I drop a video, you guys can be notified. Let's get to it. There's been 17 U.S. executions since the beginning of the year. And we're going to go one by one and list those executions and the rowdy behavior that got these people executed in the year 2023. Now, out of the 17 people that's been executed, they want to say one is a female. I'm going to leave the discretion to you, but it actually was a man at the time of the offense. So Amber McLaughlin was an American transgender woman executed in Missouri for the 2003 rape and murder of her ex-girlfriend, Beverly Gunther. At the time of the crime, McLaughlin was living as a male. Now, she transitioned from a male to a female while incarcerated. Now, I don't know how you guys even feel about that. Our taxpayers' dollars going for people who feel like they need to transition from man to female or from female to male. I personally don't agree with that. You know, this person has lived most of his life, her life, or whatever you want to call this person, as a male, and then commits this heinous crime, and then the taxpayers end up paying for this person's transition to a female. Now, McLaughlin was registered as a sex offender because of a 1992 conviction of a sexual assault against a 14-year-old girl. At McLaughlin's 2006 trial, the jury was deadlocked on the issue of the death penalty. Now, in most states, this would result in a sentence of life imprisonment. However, Missouri is one of the only two states, the other being Indiana, in which a judge has the discretion to sentence a defendant to death if the jury is deadlocked on the issue of capital punishment. I did not know that. Now, in August 2021, McLaughlin's sentence was reinstated by the United States Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit. Amber McLaughlin is the first trans woman to be executed in the United States. Amber McLaughlin was born on January 13th, 1973. She was executed on January the 3rd, 2023 at age 49. Okay, so is this the type of information that interests you? Bear with me, sit back for a hot second, and we're going to run through the 17 people who has been executed in the year 2023. That was the first one, starting with Amber McLaughlin. So get your cup of coffee, get your little, whatever it is that you like to do while you sit back and listen to stories like this, like me. Get your cup of coffee, get your bug, get your joint, whatever you like to do. You know what I mean? If you like to have a little drink, a shot, or whatever, get your goodies and sit back. And let's listen to some of the people, to what happened to some of these people and the behavior, the rowdy behavior that got these people put on death row, and how they jumped off the porch and got themselves in this type of trouble. You know, there's been 17 executions. This nation right here is very rowdy, and there's a lot of people who I think who should have been executed who didn't. But that's neither here nor there. So let's get back to it. As we go through these 17 cases of the people who were executed, leave me a comment in my comment section. Let me know which case you thought were the most heinous, or which case that you thought was just plain out dumb and just, man, you didn't even have to do this. You know what I mean? Just let me know which case you thought was the most heinous, and which case you thought were, just stupid and just really didn't need to happen. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people get intoxicated, they're drinking, and they black out and they do stuff. Or sometimes, you just do dumb stuff. There's a lot of people out there who really don't have it all. You know what I'm saying? So, like this next case that we got. This guy right here was a former Houston police officer, and he was very, very arrogant, right? He was a very arrogant individual And just 7 days later, after the first execution that happened in the first case we talk about, 7 days later, we have Robert Allen Fratta, like I said before, a former police officer who hired 2 people to kill his estranged wife. Now, Robert Fratta, age 65, received a lethal injection at the state penitentiary in Huntsville for the November 1994 fatal shooting of his wife, Farrah Fratta. Prosecutors say Robert Fratta organized the murder for hire plot in which a middleman, Joseph Priestash, hired the shooter, Howard Guidry. They say you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover. But if I see this guy right here, Scott James Eisenberg, anywhere around my house late in the middle of the night, I'm judging. And I tell you what, he looked like he ain't up to no good, right? Look at that face, man. He looked like he crazy. I'm sorry. They say you ain't supposed to judge. I'm judging. And you gotta judge sometimes. You got this a different world. You gotta be careful and you gotta watch people, right? Some of the people you think you're not supposed to judge or who you think is just regular, them be the ones, right? They be the ones who be hiding in plain sight. But this guy right here, it's all on his face, right? It's written all on his face. So let's get into his crimes and let's see what Scott James Eisenberg did to deserve the death penalty, right? Now, Scott James Eisenberg was convicted of a first-degree murder and sentenced to death for killing A.J. Cantrell, and convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 150 years in prison for killing Patsy Cantrell. Now, Eisenberg attorneys had argued that Patsy Cantrell was shot and killed while he and A.J. Cantrell struggled over a shotgun. Now, remember I told you to leave me a comment in my comment section to let me know which one of these crimes you thought might be the most heinous and deserve the death penalty the most. All crimes are heinous and all murders are heinous, but some of them are just like, man, it tears at your heartstrings, right? Now, this guy right here, after killing an old couple, Eisenberg walked across the street and entered Smith's home, shot her in the son and in the back. Now, if you're wondering who Smith and her son are, this is a domestic dispute gone wrong. This guy, Scott Eisenberg, was mad at his girl, wanted to get back at his girl, and so he went to a house across the street from where his girl stayed and broke into it and held these old people hostage and ended up killing them, right? And then he went across the street, went into the house to where his estranged wife were and shot her and the son. Now, both of them survived. Now, police believe that Eisenberg hid out in the wooded areas around town for more than 30 days while law enforcement agencies launched a manhunt to track him down. And I think, like, this is just, these old people are in the golden years of their life, enjoying their life. And for this guy to come along and do what he did, man, I just thought that was particularly heinous to me and very deserving. Just because he wanted to get back at his wife, right? Who does that? Like I said, it's written all over this guy's face. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, I hope you guys are still with me. Now, that's 3 executions that we've already been through, and that's just in the month of January of 2023. January 3rd, Amber McLaughlin. January 10th, Robert Allen Fratta. And January 12th was your boy Scott James Eisenberg. Now, coming in at number 4 is Wesley Lynn Ruiz. Now, this case right here is kind of funny. I'm just gonna freestyle this one. I ain't even gotta read it. Wesley Lynn Ruiz was driving erratic in a car, right? And the car was identified as being played a part in a homicide. Now, it was later concluded that Wesley Lynn Ruiz had nothing to do with the homicide, right? When he was approached by the officer, a high-speed chase ensued. And so they chased him, and he claimed that the officer started firing at him. He jumped out, he ran, he hid. The officer approached, I think he shot him. The backup officers came, and they shot him 9 times. They shot him 9 times, right? That's what's kind of crazy to me, Condolences to the officer, right? Because we don't condone that type of violence. We need structure in our society. We need civility in our society, right? It's just unfortunate that this guy was pulled over for no reason at all, besides driving erratic. But they also thought that he was part of that homicide. So, they probably approached him with extreme caution. And I don't know. I think I read that he was high on some drugs, and drugs were found in the car. So, of course, in Texas, when you kill a police officer, we already know what that is. That's capital punishment right there, right? I just like to say, for the people who are taking the time out to listen to this content, I really appreciate it, whether you listen to it day or night. I'm a big fan of YouTube. I listen to a lot of stories myself. I like story content, so I'm hoping that I'm giving this story some justice, some information that you may not have heard. If you like this, I thank you for rocking with me for this little bit of time out your day. I know you could be doing a whole lot of other things, and I just appreciate it. But remember when I told you that there are some people on this list that just did some heinous and despicable crimes and are very deserving of the death penalty? This is one of the guys right here. And I know I'm gonna have to make this a 2-part series, because I got to give this some justice, and I just can't give it to you like that and not give you some of the background. I did a video on this guy, but for the people who didn't watch it, maybe you can go back and watch it. But here's a little a little summary of what happened and why Leonard Shelton Taylor is on death row. So let's get to it. Okay, coming in at number 4 is Leonard Shelton Taylor. Now, February is about to be a busy month for the United States government as far as executions are concerned. We're going to get 4 executions just in the month of February alone, starting with Leonard Shelton Taylor. Now, he is an American mass murderer. He was convicted in 2008 in the shooting deaths of Angela Rowe, 28, and her 3 children, Alexis, 10, Akrea, 6, and Tyrese Conley, 5, in St. Louis. Now, he was executed on February 7th, 2023. Now, this is kind of funny. This is not funny. This story is not funny at all. But I was reading this, and I'm going to give you a little background on it, because this guy right here, this is one of the stories I wanted to tell you about. Leave me a comment in my comment section and let me know which one of these cases that I'm going through that you think is most deserving of the death penalty. And this one right here, I believe, is the one that I think it is. But, he's maintained his innocence all the years that he was on death row. Now, Taylor's criminal record dates to the late 1980s, when he was convicted of narcotics and concealed weapons charges in San Bernardino County. In 1991, Taylor was arrested by the Drug Enforcement Administration and later convicted for transporting and selling narcotics. And he was convicted of rape and child molestation in 1992. In 1990, he was suspected of a murder when he allegedly shot a 19-year-old man during an argument at a San Bernardino apartment. Now, Taylor allegedly was bragging about the slaying while he was in Missouri. Now, this is the part that I said was kind of funny to me, because I was like, okay, is this guy, was this his ex-girl, his girl? Who is this person that he killed? Now, according to investigators, on November 25th, 2004, Taylor killed by firearm his girlfriend, Angela, and her 3 children, which I told you about. The kids were found covered with blankets and shot 4 times. Now, the 3 young children were also shot. Their bodies left lined up on the bed, and prosecutors said that Perry Taylor, Leonard Taylor's brother, said Taylor told him that he killed Rowe and the kids. Now, later on, he recanted that statement. Now, after the murders, he flew back to Los Angeles to see his daughter, Deja Taylor. He stayed in San Bernardino for 4 days with his wife before driving across country. See, I had got that confused, because I thought that the person, rest their souls, the lady and the 3 kids was his wife, but it's not. That's his girlfriend. So this guy is still married, and you've seen his extensive criminal background. Now, he's maintained his innocence all the time that he was on death row, and I find it kind of hard to believe. Me personally, I don't know. I didn't listen to all the facts in the case, but just the way they broke it down, and just by his record, you know what I'm saying? If he did that, he's most deserving of the death penalty, right? And I did a story on this before. I just did a whole story on this. If you look in my catalog, you probably can find it. And, I did more extensive story on it. But I thought this was one of the most heinous crimes on here so far that we've read, right? You know, that young lady and her 3 kids, I'm pretty sure they didn't deserve that. Let's get to the next case. Rowdy Nation TV, click that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so when I drop the second part of this video, you can be notified. We out.